Welcome to Talk is Sheep, the official podcast of the Wild Sheep Society of British Columbia. Brought to you by our title sponsor, Mountain Tough Fitness Lab. Come along with us as we take conversations that matter to you into the high alpine. We have partnered with Mountain Tough Fitness Lab to help get you in shape and mentally stronger. Whether you're a veteran hunter or just starting out, the Mountain Tough app will take you to the next level. We personally train using the Mountain Tough programs, and we believe in it so much that we want to give you 6 weeks for free using code SHEEPBC. That's SHEEPBC. Check out Mountain Tough Fitness Lab. You won't be disappointed. This episode is sponsored by our conservation partner, Precision Optics. Thank you, Sitka Gear and Precision Optics, for investing in healthy wildlife and sustainable ecosystems. Well, gentlemen, we're at the Delta Hotel in downtown Calgary and Summit 16 for doing some Wild Sheep Foundation work. Glenn Landris, chair of the board, and, well, we've got a sheep hunter, we've got a ombudsman, retired board member, Wayne Henderson. I don't even know how to introduce you.
We call him El Jefe for short.
That's a short joke, by the way, folks.
Well, awesome. Gentlemen, it's good to be here. So Wild Sheep Foundation every year hosts a chapter and affiliate summit, and it's everywhere. So last year we were actually down in Wayne's neck of the woods, and he was part of that organizing committee. Your last year on the board of directors. Glenn, how important is chapter and affiliates, Wild Sheep Foundation, and that whole network?
Well, it's critical. We have such a powerful network of chapter and affiliates. And I always tell everybody that Wild Sheep Foundation, we don't have any sheep. And so we rely on those partnerships and the collaboration with those state and provincial chapter and affiliates that do have the sheep, that have their pulse on what's going on, and to use them as the connection for what we're doing on the ground for wild sheep everywhere.
So this is a record one. There's over 100 people in the room, biggest ever, highest fundraising ever to date. It seems to grow every year, and you too have been pivotal in that. You're the chair. You've been on the board. You termed out after 9 years of heavy lifting, and even being off the board, working your tail off this last year at Sheep Show and doing all kinds of work. So, it's just the foundation seems to be alive and well. Maybe Wayne, let's start with you. And you're a farmer from South Dakota. There's not a lot of sheep. It's pretty flat out there. I don't think there's too many mountains. So where did this and I know with you, you're probably the most addicted guy I know, and for the longest time anyway. So where did that passion come from? Was it Jack O'Connor or where?
It actually was. I still have the book, Big Game Animals of North America, great big white book, canvas cover. I remember sitting on my father's lap, and he'd read me all the stories. But for some reason, I like the pictures and the stories about the sheep the most. And that's where it started. And then I can remember the American Sportsman. We'd watch that on TV. And, it didn't go much further than that. And then I met my wife, and we ended up, first place we moved after we got married was Buffalo, Wyoming. And went to a couple SCI fundraisers or something. I don't remember what. I think they were SCIs. Drove up to Billings, Montana, and I remember Dwayne and Daryl Nelson were there. And they sold Dall sheep hunts. And I just was infatuated. And I would just hang around their booth all day long. And at the time, a Dall sheep hunt was like $2,000. And I was trying to figure out how in the world I could ever do that. And I never did. But I went on 2 different sheep hunts with friends from Wyoming, bighorn hunts, in Area 1 of Wyoming. And then I continued to go to, I think at some point in time, I joined the Wild Sheep Foundation. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember when, but and we, a friend and I from Wyoming, we drove through icy, slushy, terrible roads for 800 miles, and at that time it was in Reno, and we got there, and it was just like, wow, was this cool. So I got a little bit more addicted, even though I'd never hunted one, and I think the next year I actually drew a bighorn tag in Area 1 of Wyoming. And I'll never forget to this day, I'd borrowed a friend's horses, and I was pretty handy with horses and packing and stuff, but I mean, it was a rodeo. I had a couple novice guys with me. They were great hunters, but they'd never been around horses. Well, we had two of them tied to the horse trailer gate, and another one over, I don't remember where she was, but this one guy, he come up and threw some stuff on the ground behind her, and she started bucking. Pretty soon, the horse trailer gate broke off, and she was dragging it down the road. And and then we finally got going, and the other horse got spooked and started bucking, and that's the one with my rifle on it. And I just still remember the saddle, the stirrups were just going in and out, just slapping against her. And finally we got going. And there's some other stories involved with it, but we ended up, I got a nice ram about the 8th day, and but lots of horse wrecks, and I mean, one horse pulled back and rolled down a mountain like 12 times. And I had her packed good because nothing ever come loose, but it was the sleeping bags and tents and stuff. And if she hadn't had that stuff on it, it would have killed her. But I mean, she was always kind of I'm trying to think of a nice word, kind of a bitch. I guess that would be the best word, you know. And he didn't send his best horses with me, of course.
Yeah.
But found out later that the hired man of this guy had slapped her or been beaten on her head. And so every once in a while, just out of the blue, she'd pull back. Well, we were going up a mountain, steep one, leading them. She pulled back, and I mean, when she got done rolling, I just thought, you know, I guess I'll go down and see what a dead horse looks like. Because her feet were, all 4 feet were pointed uphill. Her back's against a tree, and her head and neck are underneath her, coming out between her legs. And there's blood coming out of her nose. And how am I going to explain this, you know? And anyway, I grabbed her tail and flipped her over. She was all steep. Flipped her over. She shook her head, got up, and she literally followed me with her nose in my pocket the rest of the trip. You didn't even need a lead rope on her. I mean, it was amazing. But anyway, that's just, yeah, it was.
So that was your first sheep hunt. How old would you have been? Your 30s, 40s?
My oldest boy was 2 years old, so that would have been 43 years ago.
Okay. So you were, 15 at the time then, Wayne? Or what?
Well played, well played.
Yeah, I 24, 25 maybe.
Yeah. So, you know, you had this passion for sheep hunting, and you didn't grow up, you know,
right,
doing it. Did that first hunt change anything, or you were?
Oh, completely. Okay. You know, we took this wonderful field trip yesterday over to Canmore here, and those are big, rugged mountains. Well, we also had a seminar this morning on the Beartooth Mountains and the unlimited areas. I was right on the edge of them. I was in Area 1 of Wyoming, but, I mean, the one 500 unit they were talking about was in sight. And I'm big, nasty granite mountains. And, I mean, we went places with horses we never should have, leading them. But, I mean, even so, it was, you know, I wouldn't ever do it again. But, you know, I guess I distinctly remember we got up on top, and I'm not a deeply religious man, although I was raised with lots of church in the background, but I just remember sitting down and looking out and thinking, whoa, you know, somebody created this, and this is a special feeling. There's no, to those that have never been in a high alpine setting, I don't know how you describe it to somebody. It's amazing. The temperature, the view, the sounds, everything. And so besides always growing up hunting and liking the outdoors, I kind of thought this is really good. I'd like to do more of this, And so anyway, that was the first one.
So you've got everything but your desert. So
I'd need a desert.
So how did you get your so I know your stone story, but what was your second sheep then? Where was that at?
The second sheep, I was at Reno. I went to Reno probably every other year. And I mean, I'd scrimp and save. And at that time, the Wild Sheep Foundation, then it was FNAWS, Foundation for North American Wild Sheep. They had a half slam drawing. And I had a lot of years I'd go to that. Well, I missed the question, I guess. The Doll sheep, I was at Reno, and the same Wayne and Daryl Nelsons, they used to be called the Northwest Territories Limited. I think Lancasters have the area now. Mm-hmm. Next, it was along the Keel River. But I was just a groupie, and I almost lived in their booth. And I'd talk to them, and I'd say, wow, $2,000, jeez, And finally, I remember during the auction, Dwayne Nelson, the son, walked up to me, and he had on a piece of paper wrote down $3,000, and I said, I don't think I can do that. As funny as it sounds now. And he says, well, can you do part of it? Because it had went up by then. By then it was $4,500 for a hunt, or $5,000 or something. And I said, well, yeah, let me talk to my wife, and we could probably do something. And he said, well, you don't have to pay me all at once. Give me so much, and you can come up and get the sheep, and then pay me off over the next couple of years, believe it or not. And that's actually what I did. I think I came up with $2,000, and I got a little bit selfish, greedy, because they had fantastic mountain caribou. And he said, well, the caribou's just a done deal. You just get that the last day. There's so many of them running around that. Well, naturally, we never saw any. We saw some, but, just little bulls. Mm-hmm. And so I never got one. But, that was an add-on of $500 to shoot a mountain caribou, too. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I got a beautiful doll ram. It's the biggest ram I've ever got, proportionally, for the species.
How old would he have been?
He was 11, and we tried several times to stretch the tape to make 40. He, honest to God, was 39 and 15/16.
That's a good sheet.
We tried every door, and he was honestly that, but he wasn't quite 40. But beautiful ram. He, in his left horn at the bottom of the curl, was a bullet hole that had went through the outside and come out on the inside and splintered the whole inside of the horn.
Wow. And
then I started hearing stories of other neighboring outfitters and how they kind of cheated once in a while, and I'm not going to go into that, but that was the story I heard. Yeah. So anyway,
cool.
But that was the first one. I remember I shot him at 10:30 at night, and for years I see these pictures of these snow white sheep. They've maybe been photoshopped, I don't know. But they're beautiful white doll sheep, right? I hit this thing perfect, blew his heart out, and he reared up on his hind legs, and you could see blood just spraying and pumping out of him. And when we got to him, he was a pink sheep. He was not clean. But took the best photos we could. We life-sized him, and I remember the guide gave him a kick. God, he rolled a quarter mile down the mountain. It was that steep, And then I kind of looked mortified, and then we got down there and took the quarters off and the back straps, and we got down to the horses like at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'd rode back. I don't know. We got back to camp like maybe 3:30 in the morning, and I'd taken up a bottle of Crown, and I just remember handing it to the guide, and he just grabbed it, took the cap off, and threw it over his shoulder. And I had like one drink, maybe two. I was on a high, but he drank the rest of it. But needless to say, we didn't get up till like 11:30, 12 the next day, and then we spent all day, cleaning the cape up and getting the bones out of the feet and all that. So
You did a life size on them?
yeah,
Right on. Did you do a life size on your Bighorn as well?
No, the Bighorn I had shoulder mounted. Wish I would have, but anyway, I'd like to get one more draw tag somewhere in some state of a Cali or a Rocky and in life size one. But anyway, if I don't, I don't. So I life sized the stone sheep too, which I'm going to actually mount when I get home.
Okay.
I got the form, got it tanned, got to order some eyes and ears and a few other things, and I'm going to get her done.
So you use the word groupie, Wayne, and if it's funny, you'll come up to me and go, oh, this outfitter and this guy in 1974 did this and did that. It takes a special person to be like that, like to understand. You basically have to be a groupie. So where did that come from? Was it when you kind of went to that first sheep show, or
that in the SCI things? And I mean, when I say I'm a groupie, I'd love to call myself a sheep hunter, but I mean, I've been around some hardcore, like the gentleman sitting next to me, sheep hunters that have shot a lot of rams, and I've only shot the 3, but not making everybody feel sorry for me. I just never had the money to go like I wanted. We raised kids, and that's paying dividends now because hopefully they'll take me hunting when I get old. But I talk to everybody, especially the stone sheep guys. Once I got that doll sheep, I wanted a stone sheep, and people that own stone sheep areas right now, I probably could enlighten with the 3 people that own the area before them and their kids' names. And I mean, I just and read. I have an extensive library. Robert Anderson books. I just ordered a new book from some gentleman. You kind of give him a perk on. I can't even think. There's a new book out that
Jim Henley's.
Jim's.
Yeah, Jim Henley's.
Tracks
I just ordered
Manly,
that.
Yeah.
I
Tracks
got
on a Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you read it, Glenn?
I just got into
Just got it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he's a great guy, and it's a great read.
I'm going to try and have him on the podcast. We've been trying to line that up. I got to get
That's
that
great.
together.
Yeah,
But
he's a super guy.
I'm going to try and get the book ahead of time so I know what I'm talking about. But
Well, I recognize him. I didn't know the guy, but I mean, I've heard 4 or 5 people say now it's just a fantastic read.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I started reading these books, and I'd read them over and over and over, and I'd recognize, like in Robert Anderson's books. Do you have those, Glenn?
I have a couple of them, yeah.
Okay, well, I got them all. I'm not into the international thing as much, but you read them over and over, and you start to recognize guys. And I mean, I'll see him at the sheep show. I'd see him at Safari Club, and I'd recognize him, and I'd strike up a conversation. And it's a pretty small world once you. Mm-hmm. A lot of those guys, I'm not a shy person, as you may know, but I just go say, hey, saw your picture. If I ever get near there, I'd love to see your room. And I can't tell you how many rooms from Pennsylvania to California that when I've been in town for some event, I've called somebody up and, yeah, come on over and I'll show you. And I like I said, I love to hunt sheep. I haven't done that much of it really, but I am a groupie, and I've read a lot of books.
okay, so this is going to be awkward for you, and I'm not asking you to pick your favorite, but
you're a groupie and you know all these outfitters, and I'm not asking who's the best outfitter, but who's the most iconic. And I'm not asking for what species or subspecies or anything, but who's the most iconic outfitter. When you think of an iconic outfitter, and again, not necessarily the best, but an iconic outfitter, and we're talking legacy. Go back, you were reading 60 books 50 years ago about these guys. So,
I guess during my lifetime and from what I've read, probably Gary Vince. A lot of people didn't like him. A lot of people loved him. But he was a pretty straight shooter as far as I was concerned. And I talked to him about a hunt, and he goes, would you be willing to shoot a ram with a broken horn? Everybody wants the pretty boy rams. And, I was trying to figure out how can I come up with $8,000 or $10,000 to do this. And I talked to Miles Bradford, and that's kind of a hard question. There were a lot of really good ones, but things were so different then. I mean, there were a lot of rams. There were a lot of big rams. I mean, nobody shot a 35 or 36-inch ram back then from what you read in books. I mean, the scrubs were 37 and a half and heavy. And a lot of 40-inch rams or 39-inch rams. And that was stone sheep. And Doll sheep, all those territory guys were good. I guess I remember Stan Stevens always really stuck out. There was Simpsons and the Ramhead outfitters. And I'd have to sit and think longer about that. But Gary Vince was kind of at the top of the world right then, and kind of the standard everybody tried to get to. So was Miles Bradford. I talked to Miles Bradford. I could have went hunting with him. I had a friend from Fargo, North Dakota. He and I talked to Miles Bradford, and it was $8,000, and and I said, well, what's your success rate? And he just kind of looked at me like, what a stupid question that is.
100%, of course.
Well, 100%. And if you didn't get one, you come back.
Right.
I mean, it was just a no-brainer. You just hunted till you got a ram, and it was okay, but naturally I didn't send him a deposit, I waited a few years till I went up several $1,000s, and then he was out of it, but I hear they're getting back into it. They got the area back. Devlin and Miles are, I think, I heard that. But
yeah, definitely a groupie. He's got all the rumors.
Well,
that's right.
But I mean, yeah, Bill McKenzie was really a big name up in the territories for Doll sheep. I don't know if that answered your question or not, but the bighorn guys, I can't really. I remember Albert Cooper was real famous in BC. I'm trying to think. Well, things have changed. Those first sheep shows I went to, I remember the Condits in Wyoming. Wynn Condit and who is
I recognize the last name, but I don't
yeah,
remember
but
if I remember.
they'd always take the permit holders. The bronze at the sheep show, Dan Pacapolio, or I'm not sure how you say his name, always took him. And I didn't really know anybody but the Wyoming guys, really, for bighorns, and a couple Canadian guys. So I don't know. There were lots of good ones.
Well, I'll be honest. I was a little surprised when you didn't say Bailey and Landers, but
well, yeah, that's another podcast in itself.
Yeah, remember your wife is in the room, so be good.
Yeah, we might have to censor that one just a bit.
Oh, that hurts.
Because,
You're talking about prices as you've gone through and reminisced as you've, talked to these outfitters over the years. And it brought up a story when I killed my bighorn in '95 in Washington State, drew a permit, and the next year I was at an outdoor show in Spokane, and there was a stone sheep outfitter there, and I ended up, talked to him. There's a long story there, but the short version, talked to him, thought about it, in the hotel room that night, crunched the numbers. I would have been 25, 26, teacher, so I'm not making a pile of money, but the hunt was going to be in 1998, so I had a year and a half or whatever it was. And I remember that the next week when I talked to my mother, and, what have you been up to? Oh, I was in Spokane last weekend for the Bighorn Show is what it's called, ironically. Oh, did you buy anything? Which is a funny question because I never buy anything. And I said, well, actually, yeah, I booked a stone sheep hunt. So this is like 1996-ish. And she's like, she didn't even know what it was. Oh, really? How much was that? And I'm like, oh, now what do I say, right? And I said $12,500, and she said $1,250. And I should have said yes, $1,250, but $12,500 for a stone hunt in 1998. Wow. Best economic decision of my life.
Yeah, that's for sure, eh?
Wow. Yeah.
So, okay, we're going to jump into stone sheep. Before we do that, you mentioned Stan Lancaster, and you're on my membership committee. Wild Sheep Foundation has a membership promotion right now. So go hunting in the Northwest Territories with Stan. It's a 2-on-1 with Jana Waller-Beer and her husband, John.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's only running until the end of the month, into June. So, but there's never been a better time to join the foundation if somebody's not a member. And if you are a member, you can just buy a ticket and go hunt with Jana, and they kill massive caribou up there. What are the caribou like with Stan? I don't.
I've been of any species where I've been unlucky. It's been caribou. I've just back in I suppose it was the 80s, maybe even before that. The Mulchatna herd in the Alaska Peninsula, giant bulls. Two was the limit. I mean, you could have been an idiot that couldn't shoot, and you'd still going to get 2 caribou bulls. Well, I went up to Anchorage, Alaska, and put a kitchen in for my brother, and was going to fly out of Lake Hood, out there with him, and.
So he could host you, like as a non-resident, or you had to go, it was a guided hunt?
No, it was do it yourself.
Okay. Yeah.
As a non-resident, I could do that myself.
Cool. Yeah.
And anyway, long story short, it started raining and blowing, and we lost the window of time to go out there. And I mean, I would have flown out one day, and it was, I don't know what it was at the time, $500-600 to fly out, probably half what it is now, or a third, and hunt a day and a half and fly back. Well, I almost did it. Thank God I had a few brains left, and I didn't, because, that's just not a recipe for success. And then when I went to the territories on my Dall sheep hunt, that was just I remember the famous bow hunter Chuck Adams. He'd shot, I think, at the time, the world record mountain caribou with his bow up there the year before. And I mean, it was everybody said it's a great caribou area. It's right next to Stan Stevens. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, but we just never did that. I was at a hunt in the Yukon. We saw one caribou. That didn't work. Went up to Alaska again with my brother, and we did not see a caribou. And then I went back twice to BC in the Yukon. Never saw caribou.
But you didn't go back. You weren't there for caribou, were you?
Would have. Could have. I mean, I had the tag.
Stuff too, right?
Yeah. I was hunting something else.
Yeah.
But, yeah, anyway, so I'm going to buy some tickets. My wife's sitting right here, so I got to be careful to tell her how many I'm going to buy, but I'll buy her one too.
My kids just got all entered. My dad, they were buying tickets yesterday. So,
yeah.
But well, and that's the thing with these sort of like not the primary species, you go sheep hunting, and I always got a goat tag with me, and it's like, over the years I've seen hundreds of goats, and you're like, yeah, but I'm sheep hunting, right? And I've got a tag, but you just never, and so I still don't have a goat, and like, yeah, I better get on that. So.
Well, you've never shot a goat?
No, I've never. I've hunted with my friends, and I've probably been on half a dozen goat kills, but I had a tag, but I just never, it's kind of like if you're killing a goat, you can't go sheep hunting, right? So
I suppose, yeah.
But it's like it's like unless you make it a priority. If you're doing a fly-in for caribou, you'd probably kill a caribou, realistically, right?
Probably. You got to do your research, and so many people. In fact, at this thing, I've talked to 4 or 5 people in Alaska and the Yukon already, trying to get a caribou lined up. And I mean, it's a hit and miss thing. You can be overrun with them. They can run your tent over, or you could not see any. It's a flip of the coin. They try to put you in front of them when they're migrating, but hunting's hunting. But that's on my list to do. Hopefully, they're such a pretty animal, but so is everything else. So
right. So let's talk about stone sheep. Let's talk about your and set it up. Like this has been a long time, and so you killed your Rocky in your 30s. How old were you when you killed your doll? Would you say, give or take, 40s, 50s?
Oh no! I probably got my bighorn when I was 25 or 6.
Oh yeah, that's right. You said 25. That's right.
And probably got the doll when I was 29 or 30.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, it was 4 or 5 years later.
Okay. And then a bit of a hiatus, but then, so this stone has been a bit of a legacy for you.
Well, the stone, if you could look back and say I shoulda, woulda, coulda, at the time you could have borrowed $8,000, paid it back over 10 years, and went with Miles Bradford or Gary Vince and just a slam dunk dead, But at the time we started having kids, we ended up with 3 boys, and man, enough said. You pretty soon, you're having trouble keeping enough money in the bank to pay the bills, and there just was not any money for extra sheep hunting. Mm-hmm. Okay, I still deer hunted, I elk hunted, the stuff less expensive, but finally one year, and I still think back of what an idiot I was. This guy had this brochure, and on it's just like 48-inch stone sheep. White head and neck, black body. I mean, whoa, I want that one. And so I started talking to them, and they were lower scale in the price range too,
Not a 47-inch stone sheep.
No, yeah, a 47-inch stone sheep.
What?
And I can show you the brochures.
Is this like a farmed stone sheep? Or
no,
what?
no. I'm trying to think. I'll just say the area was in the southern Yukon. Okay. Area didn't have a lot of sheep in it, which I found out later. But he donated a trail clearing cabin repair summer adventure.
So you're going to go in and work for him, and
I'm going to go in and work for him, and
That's cool.
it's worth like $6,000, right?
Right.
And so he said, if you buy it for $500, we'll take $6,000 off. What a deal! So of course I bought it for $950 or whatever, and I get I don't remember, $4,000 credit, let's say. And I get up there, and it was. Yeah. Found out way after the fact, I'd been told that, they didn't have a lot of sheep, but they were 4 for 5 the year before. And the guy that didn't shoot one, couldn't walk, was obese. And I thought, well, that's not going to be a problem, So So I went up there, and the long and the short of the story is, we didn't see any. We saw some ewes, but and I'm not going to elaborate on this because I don't want to badmouth somebody, but I'd been misled.
Right.
We found out they'd shot one ram in there in the last 4 years. Okay, and the area had switched hands about 3 or 4 times, and boy, I was the guy. The guy actually, over the next 3 years, sent me back $10,000.
Wow.
Wow.
Because, yeah, so that was the first stone hunt. And then,
And how long ago was that, Wayne? Was that in the 80s, 90s? When was that?
oh, God.
Diane's here. See, I told you she should have been on the headset. She was.
Yeah,
She's too modest.
I'd say mid-'80s,
Okay. A
maybe.
few years ago.
It was like 2 or 3 years after I got my, 3 or 4 years after I got my adult sheep.
Okay.
And I could look back and probably find out somehow by pictures and stuff, but yeah. But anyway, then I worked. I had a real good friend in BC that I got to know real good, and we were always at this hunting convention together, and we got to talking and drinking whiskey one night.
As one does.
You?
Yeah, and you know, the more whiskey we drank, the better hunters we were,
Smarter you
and
got.
the more sheep there were, you know. And he says, "Well, you need to just come up and give me this amount of money." He liked to bird hunt, so I outfit for pheasants in South Dakota, and he liked to bird hunt. And he says, "We'll do a trade. You give me $15,000 cash, and the rest we'll do in trade." And at the time, hunts were like 35, I think. And he says, "You'll get one. It doesn't matter if you get one this year or 5 years from now. You just come back every year, and somebody isn't going to get a sheep, or we'll find some extra rams, or we'll do something, and we'll just go get one." You know, so 3 or 4 years in a row, I drove to Fort St. John. He left a pickup for me, drove into his place. Loved it up there, but we
It's a
just
lot of driving.
yeah, I was. But when you're hepped up about going stone sheep hunting, I mean, you can go about 1,200 miles a day.
Yeah.
You know, at the time I smoked cigarettes, so I mean, you're hepped up on Red Bulls and Camel Straights, which is another story.
Not about Red Bulls.
No, about the cigarettes. Yeah. And I do have to tell that story. Anyway, the long and the short of the story is I never really got to go. And my friend unluckily got cancer, passed away. And, he told his wife, "Make sure you get Wayne up here and get him a sheep." Well, I went up that same year this gentleman passed away. You know, I guess I'm being a little careful with names. I don't know if I should say them or not. But anyway, and we went out. And, I mean, we rode horseback, this guide and I, the kid was from New Zealand. We rode horseback over 160 miles. And I've rode a lot of horseback in my life, but I hadn't rode any for 35 years. You know, my ass still isn't the same after that trip. I mean, wow. And, I mean, we were crossing and swimming rivers and going up. I mean, I was scared to death. We were in some sketchy places. And, it's all part of the adventure, right?
Yeah.
And, had a horse go down a river. We just about drowned and had to unpack it and repack it. And just those that have been on horse hunts know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Shit happens when you got a string of horses. But anyway, the time I actually went and actually hunted sheep was my 5th try.
Wow.
or I went. The other times I went, I had never actually hunted sheep. I mean, we'd go up close on a mountain and look, and we couldn't find any rams, but I mean, actually had a chance to shoot a ram. So we saw, we were way up at the headwaters. Should I mention?
Well, if the outfitter's going to be pissed off at me, don't say it, because we don't want to give any X's on the map.
Yeah,
So
okay.
Whatever you're comfortable
Well,
with.
you know, I'm just gonna say it was out west of Fort St. John. I mean, it was. But anyway, we were at the very end of the outfitters area, and it was nasty, steep, rugged, cliffy country. And we saw 3 rams. And my guide turned to me and he says, "Can you make it up there?" And I said, I said, "You give me 3 or 4 hours, we'll get up there." I said, "I'm going to have to stop a lot and rest." This time I was probably 63 or 4 years old. I didn't have good legs. I had some, I'm not sure the correct name. I had arterial blockage from smoking for years. And so my legs would go numb, my hips would go numb, and so you just sit down for a while till everything come back, and then go some more. And we made it up there. Well, sometime I'll send you the pictures.
I think you did. I think you said
We got up on top, and I mean, we looked over the edge. He found the rams. They went over an edge, and I swear to God, I didn't think a goat could get through and over that thing where those rams went. Somewhere they found a little chute or something we didn't know about, because it was scary to look over the edge, and I'm talking hundreds of feet down. The rams were about 450 yards down at a, I don't know, I would say 45 to 50 degree angle, but that's a guess. And I argued with my guide. He had a set of Swarovski range finding binoculars, and he said, actual distance 472, but you'd hold 432. And I go, bullshit. I'd hold 200 yards. I said, that bullet is not going to have.
On 45 degrees, 432,
well,
472 are not the same.
I mean, it was spooky just to look over at him.
Right.
Okay. I remember looking over at him, and I had my hand on a shin tangle bush. I wasn't going to let go of in case I started sliding, because it was steep. And anyway, the long and the short of it is, I did not shoot. It wasn't a good shot. If I would have hit or killed one, we could not have got around to him for 2 days, because it was in another drainage that way away from our horses. I mean, I'd sent you the pictures, Glenn. 2 of the rams were black. I mean black, with a gray face. And were they legal? That was questionable. I think they were, but one was a stud. He was a lighter ram. He was gray, but we both thought he was like between 38 and a half and 40. He was definitely a shooter, But I ended up not shooting, thinking that we could go around and get up on him. And so we got back down. I'll never forget. We got back down. We kind of got lost to where we thought the horses were, and we ended up crossing this river on foot about 3 times. In the rocks, the bedrock in the river was slimy, mossy, like glare ice. And if you'd have fell down, it just wouldn't have been good. And I was so exhausted, tired. I think he had to help me get on the horse. And we, a long ride back to camp. I remember when I got back to camp, I fell off the horse. I couldn't feel my legs, couldn't feel my feet, was cold. And I just basically, it wasn't pretty, I'm sure. But then my legs, I remember that night, my legs cramped up. I didn't sleep a wink. my calves cramped. I mean, because we'd went on quite a hike, and the next day we went all the way around to where we could get to these guys. They were still there.
Huh?
They were way up this mountain, though. That's the problem, and it was steep, and then it started raining. And we got up about 400 yards away where it would have been possible. And on the way up, we literally crawled, grabbing hold of handholds of bushes and put your foot against a bush. And I mean, it was that steep. Well, then it started raining, and we started hitting this gray bedrock or this gray cliffy, and it was smooth, and I mean, it was like ice. And he said, it's getting a little sketchy here. Let's just... The rams never saw us. We didn't spook them. They'd laid there 2 days long enough. They just got up and started grazing. And anybody that's ever been up in that alpine stuff, you get up there and there's like a little bench you can't quite see over, so you get up a little ways and then you can't see over the next one. And they just grazed out of my life. I mean, went home without a ram. You could have stepped on my lip. That was it. That was my last chance.
Yeah.
There was no more money. I'd paid it. Life isn't always fair. I felt sorry for myself. Anyway, that was in September, late September. I always go to the Salt Lake City.
And when you say late September, that was like about 10 years ago. Wasn't that long ago? 10 or 12 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Because I know the outfitter you're talking about, and I know the timelines with all that. Yeah.
Right.
So let's talk about
so anyway, for years I went to, I've helped solicit hunts and products and items for the Wild Sheep Foundation. That's kind of what I've always helped Kim Needers, and that's kind of what I do. I help her out. And I went to Salt Lake City to solicit stuff, and I'll never forget. They sell sheep raffle tickets, quite a few. 10, 11 hunts, and I mean, of course, every ticket I bought, I bought like $300 worth of tickets, I think, because at $300 you got a few extra, and that. You still kind of feel hopeless because, I mean, those barrels are big, and there must be. How many tickets you think are in one of those barrels, Glenn?
Oh, I'd hate to count them. The odds aren't great, but the odds are better if your name's in the barrel.
Well,
it's better when you go to the Wild Sheep Foundation Life Member Breakfast.
That's
only
right.
Right.
People in the
Those
room.
are the best.
Just
odds.
saying.
right. No, but anyway, I'll never forget I was sitting with a friend from Oregon. Justin Wise was his name. And he says, "Do you feel lucky?" I said, "Well, you never know. You can't win if you're not in there." And anyway, they draw a ticket, and they go, "Well, there's a few people from South Dakota here." And they look at it, and I still don't, there's quite a few from South Dakota. There are probably 50 people maybe, or 100. I don't know. And he goes, "Must be a small place. I've never really heard of it." And I looked over at Justin and I said, "Man, if they say Lodgepole, I know I'm the only one here from Lodgepole, South Dakota." And Justin told me the story later. He said, "If you're from he said I went straight in the air and I was halfway up to the stage before they got pole out. And tears flowing. And I remember John Bear, the auctioneer, our friend that helps us at the sheep show. He came down to give me a big hug, wow. So I figured there definitely is a God. I can't tell you how many people came up to me and go, karma, you made the right decision not shooting and wounding one of them rams, and all this, because for 2 years, months, every day I thought I should have took the shot.
Yeah.
Should have took the shot. My last chance. Should have took it. Well, anyway, then COVID hit. So everything got delayed another 3 years. Well, I finally got to go here a couple years ago. And it's like I'd paid my dues. Nice. How many people have been to British Columbia for 2 weeks and never put on a raincoat or a jacket? Didn't get their pants wet in the morning by dew on the grass. It was bluebird, 65-degree weather, sun shining, no wind. And I mean, the first day we got on horses, rode an easy 3, 4, 5 miles up a valley, tied him up. And he says, the guy, young kid, he says, I'm going to start you out easy. Because I told him, dude, you're not talking to a marathon runner here. I'm only going to go so fast, and you need to know that. I mean, by then I was experienced enough not to mince words or try to tell him I was something I wasn't. So, I mean, we walked up basically a pretty gentle pass and got up on this thing. And I mean, it was still a hike. You know how mountains are. And these two guys, the Wrangler was 19, the guide was 21. And they're both kids. And I enjoyed them a lot. But we get up to the top there, and there's the mountain. We're in this pass, and then there's straight up and down on each side. Well, they bet each other who could run up this shale slide the fastest. So they both took off, and I just sit there and glassed. Well, the Wrangler, actually, he got up right below us were these ramps. We couldn't see him from where we were because it was so steep over the edge. But he saw it from way up on top, and there was 7 smaller rams and one nice ram off by himself, and we ended up getting it. But the long and the short of it is, it was so easy. You know, it was so easy that it's like you'd paid your dues, and okay, you know, it just. But I remember when he went down, I just put my head down in the moss and bawled. I felt like a truck had drove off my chest. I did. And I don't know why I felt that way, but I did. And it was pretty cool.
It's funny you say it's so easy, but how many hours did you drive to get there?
Oh, I don't know. It was about 2,100 miles.
So 2,100 miles and horseback in. And 5 stone sheep hunts later. Yeah. It was pretty easy.
Yeah. Well, I actually on one of the trips with the other outfitter, I remember Sean Olmsted, who owns an area up there, also was flying clients for other outfitters. And he flew me in and out. And after I'd gotten my stone sheep this last year at the sheep show, he come up to me and shook my hand, and he says, you know what? Good for you. He said, you paid your dues. And that kind of meant something to me. He said, you know, people don't realize, even you can be the best outfitter in the world, and stuff just happens. And weather, wolves, and you've been on how many hunts? Where?
Yeah.
You just can't tell for sure. It ain't a sure deal. But I did spend the time to get that stone sheep, believe me.
Yeah, there's that side of it too, but the other side for me is this whole conservation karma thing. You paid your dues. And Sean was probably talking about you've been on enough hunts that you finally earned one. He was probably also talking about your decades of service to everything, and particularly the Wild Sheep Foundation. Like, how many millions of dollars in donations? Like, honestly, like if you just pick the closest million.
No, I'm not gonna. No.
Yeah, it's a big number, and Kim will attest to it. Glenn will attest to it. We're not making this up. Like that's I know that's the conservation karma right there.
It's kind of a cool story. You know, I'm social, and over the years I've never tried to be pushy, but over the years, you know, a lot of people know me, and you know, I'd say, hey, any chance to get a donation this year? And well, man, it's kind of a tough year, and you know, the wife left me and took the, you know, and this or you know, my uncle died or whatever, and but you planted a seed. I've been, walking around the hallways of Dallas Safari Club or Salt Lake City, and hey, Wayne, and you know what? Could you use this? And I mean, kind of offered it to me without me asking, and I don't have a clue. I don't even have a clue. But quite a few hunts. Yeah. I guess I'll just leave it at that. Quite a few things. And in as much as that, probably one of the things I do that's really important, and Gray's touched on it and other people have touched, but everybody that exhibits with us, I see him at Dallas or I see him wherever, I say, thanks. Thank you for exhibiting with us. Man, we had a great sheep show and we couldn't do it without you guys. I think that means something to those guys.
Well, I think it also means when someone says it and they actually mean it and you mean it. Like there's some people that say it and they don't mean it, but you mean it. Like when you get a thanks from Wayne Henderson, it's from the heart.
Well, and I'm sincere about it.
Absolutely,
I mean, but it's, as my wife can attest, even my kids, I mean, they've heard sheep, 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 sheep for so many years that they just kind of block me out now, but don't know what else to say. Yeah. It's definitely my favorite animal to hunt. Unfortunately, I just told my kids, forget it. I wouldn't even start building points. I wouldn't. It's so out of hand now with prices that it disturbs me. But I guess it's just the way things go and the economy. And I mean, I don't know.
Hey, just sitting here listening to you before we get off the conservation part of the conversation. Kyle mentioned that you termed out a year ago from the WSF board, although you serve on our solicitations committee and our director candidate evaluation committee. But over your time, before you got on the board, your 9 years on the board, the year since, what are you most proud of?
Boy, I really don't. That would be easier to answer if sheep hunts were affordable and they didn't get sick. I mean, it seems the longer I've served and the more effort I do, the worse it gets. I'm being serious. There's more sick sheep now all over than, at least I'm aware of it. Maybe there were that many back when I started, but I don't know about me being proud. I don't like to thump my own chest, but I'm grateful I've made so many friends. My family is the sheep family. And I mean, I know a lot of people to where I feel sorry. I even told my wife when she came along, I'll introduce you to a few. I'm not going to overwhelm you with 150 introductions because that's what I tend to do. And, you just don't want to. It's overwhelming to her how many people I know. And even in myself sometimes. I'm getting older where I'm starting to forget people's names. I know them. I can tell you where they're from, but I can't tell you their name. I don't know if I answered the question or not.
Yeah, pretty cool. I know we got a banquet to attend here shortly, but before we do that, what is that? How you getting some calls? We're doing this podcast. I'm expecting some desert outfitters to call you up and give you a desert hunt. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, you let me know when that happens. I have been putting in for desert sheep for just about 40 years.
I think Jacob, you bought Jacob enough Caesars that you pretty much.
I've tried.
You know what? It would have been actually cheaper just to buy the hunt with Jacob than to buy him the Caesars that you bought.
I've bribed a lot of outfitters with Bloody Marys and free sandwiches but no, I'll either draw or I won't. I'm no less of a man if I don't. You look back and think, man, did I screw up? Because for years and years and years, I put in for Nevada and Arizona before there were bonus points. And I remember they come out with bonus points, and at the time it was like $30 extra. And I thought, I'm going to show you guys that you state agencies trying to be greedy. I'm not going to buy any bonus points. So for 4 years, I didn't. Well, guess what? I'm 4 behind max on bonus points, or I would have probably drew Arizona, or would have.
Yeah.
because I'm not greedy to where a lot of the max point holders, put in for the best areas.
Sure.
I'd have been thrilled to put in for another area that's in a random draw where you still shoot a nice sheep.
Yeah.
And, they go through just as much perils as a pretty boy does, with lions and drought and coyotes and whatever else. But anyway, I can't back it up 30 years and redo it. So, but I have about 30 points in both Arizona and Nevada, and I'm hoping this is the year. I'm hoping. So
he's a dryland farmer, ever the optimist, right?
That's right.
This is the big year, right? So,
Yep. There's rain on the horizon.
right.
Okay, so we talk about in the wild sheep community time, talent, treasure. And you obviously donated your time, you donated your talent, and you've donated your treasure. So let's talk. This will be a shameless plug for Paradise Valley Outfitters. Talk a little bit about your pheasant business, just so that anyone that wants to sort of give back to Wayne for all that you've done, they can come and check out it and have a fantastic hunt with you.
We live on a ranch in northwest South Dakota that my great-grandfather homesteaded in 1907. The house we live in was built in 1912, and then Diane and I put an addition on it in 1995, a big trophy room and a bedroom and we're wondering now why we did this. But anyway, it's huge. It's hard to heat. But we outfit, we take 3-4 groups of bird hunters a year. We don't do any releases. They're all wild birds. And it depends, because you have to put in, it is an over-the-counter deal for deer and antelope. But this year we also have 3 deer hunters. We have both mule deer and whitetail, about an equal number of both. And every other year I'll have a couple antelope hunters. And I don't have those on my own land, but I have a friend that's county commissioner with me that I go down, pay a fee to hunt on his place. But I'm real small, but we have a pretty loyal clientele. We sell as much service as we do game, but I mean, it's all made a lot of friends over the years.
Awesome. And you were saying this year was by far, you've been on there for multi-generations, as you said, and it's the best pheasants you've ever had.
We had a very mild winter, and I was down. I booked less bird hunters last year because I had a really bad back, and I had to have spinal surgery. And I mean, it was hard to walk at all. So we only had a couple groups, where I usually have 4 groups. And so we carried over a ton of birds. There's a bunch of big old roosters running around. But this spring, and I talked, my wife and I were sitting out on the patio the other night, and I mean, I don't want to exaggerate, I'm only guessing, but like the game departments estimate populations by how many crows. I think that's the right word. When they make a crow, they fluff up and they cackle.
Yeah.
Okay, mainly in the morning, in the evening. But I mean, in a minute's time, you'll hear 20 to 30 crows. And this goes on for an hour and a half. I mean, and it's all the way around you. So I mean, the population's fantastic this year. When I was putting in food plots, I already saw one hen with 16 little ones. And they weren't any bigger than a little bottle cap. I mean, they were tiny. But, yeah, it's going to be a great year for birds.
Somebody told me pheasants aren't native to North America, like they're traditionally from China or something.
Right. The very first pheasants in South Dakota were transplanted in the middle of the state, like in, I should know, but like 1923 or something.
Wow.
And in the 30s, they had, after the Depression, in the drought, dirty 30s, the government started a program called Soil Bank. And guys were paid just not to tear up the soil anymore, let reseed stuff. And it's basically the same exact thing as what we now call CRP, Conservation Reserve Program. The government paid farmers, just don't tear up the land so erosion. Just let grass grow. And and that's when they really built up, and South Dakota became famous for birds, you know. And then we're fortunate there. You know, we have a governor who's quite popular, and she advocates hunting, fishing, trapping.
Christy Nome,
Yes, yes.
next president of the United States.
Might be the next vice president. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
So Wayne, how many bonus points does it take to come hunt pheasants with you? 30 years.
Landris and I have been working for
30 years to
I
draw?
was on the board for 5 years and trying to get an invite to come down to South Dakota to hunt with you, but I don't know, man.
There's a saying, nothing's for free.
So it'd be normal cost plus 25%.
Well,
for
no,
Kyle
I
and
mean, but I mean, you know, you live in Washington State. There's salmon there. There's other things there. You know, I'm quite open to trades.
Well, you guys got to come up. I actually just bought a charter on the West Coast, so you and Diane got to come up and do some fishing with us. So
Be careful what you wish for.
no, I'm
because-
not wishing. It's a distant
yeah,
invite.
it's-
So yeah.
Actually, the host here is going to come down, and I've invited you how many times? How
Well, I
many
guess
times?
This makes one.
I see why you're chairman. Because you're really full of shit. Yeah. No.
Okay, well, we got to go. What time do you have the time for what we got to be? Is it 6 or what time are we doing our thing at?
Yeah, it's, I think 5:45 or something like that.
Well,
so.
I guess we're wrapping
We're
up.
getting
So, somebody wants to book with you. How do they get a hold of you, Wayne?
ParadiseOutfitters.com, I think, or Wayne Henderson. They can get a hold of me. Talk to somebody. They probably know me.
Yeah.
So, or I've talked to them before at some show. So,
Well, and go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I hate to bring it back up, but I know we're about to wrap this up. But you said you had a story you wanted to tell?
So I was on the board 2 years, and we had a little bit of I'm trying to think of the right word.
Challenge?
Challenge, dissent. There were some people that resigned from the board for their reasons, which they maybe had a reason to. Mr. Landris was on their side. And he was quite upset at the rest of us on the board. He didn't really know who to talk to.
Are we talking board politics here? No.
Yeah, a little bit.
I like this. This is good.
Just a little bit. But
spicy.
anyway, you know,
I'm not on the board.
I'm
Wayne and I
not
are
going to
safe.
go into a lot of detail, but I liked the guy. I knew he was a dedicated conservationist. And it was time, you know, he was either going to quit the board too, or he needed to know the whole story, okay? So one night I grab him, and we go across a gravel parking lot over 200 yards from where the hotel is, and we start talking, and I start telling him my side of the story. And at the time I smoked Camel Straight cigarettes. And he goes, "Give me a cigarette." I go, "You don't smoke." He says, "I know, but give me a cigarette." Well, he lit her up, but I mean, smoke was coming out his ears, his mouth, and we were in a not a heated conversation, but it was passionate.
Passionate.
Passionate would be the word. And I mean, we weren't very far apart, and I only had 3 or 4 Camel Straights left in this pack. Next thing I know, he smoked 3 of them, and I'm out of cigarettes. We still remind each other of that. It was he did well. I think he was so dizzy he couldn't probably stand up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, no pun intended, but we cleared the air. And
We did,
Yeah.
and we've
We
been
found
friends
common-
ever since.
Yeah, we found common ground and haven't looked back.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a memory neither one of us will probably forget. So,
Well, I haven't been in the sheep world very long, but cheers to you, gentlemen, because a lot of epic shit has gone down with the Wild Sheep Foundation since I've been involved, and there's 2 sort of common themes that have been there, and so pretty cool, pretty inspiring, and gentlemen, thank you both for your time today.
Hey, thanks for having us. I don't know who's going to listen to this, but Great stories.
I don't think I cussed any, did I?
Well, you're allowed to. We
Well,
just have to put an E on there. That's all I have to
I
is
got-
required of me. So.
I got more stories later.
Well, and we're going to talk. We're
about
going
a
to.
couple.
We're talking a little bit of Wild Sheep Foundation stuff, but we're going to talk some real hunting stories here soon. So, yeah, no, absolutely.
No, I appreciate the time, and yeah, all of our friends are in this family, and it's great to be here. So,
Well said. Okay, I just had a little mini thought here. Southeast Chapter, Wild Sheep Foundation, new chapter. So, just inked the charter. You signed the document 3 days ago, 2 days ago.
2 days ago, that's right. So we've been talking about this for 6 or 8 years, Wayne.
Yep.
And COVID kind of put it on the back shelf, but it was resurrected in the last year, and we have some of our WSF membership from Louisiana up to Virginia down to Florida that have formed a steering committee, and we've kind of been in the background helping them, and we got their charter figured out and officially signed 2 days ago, and they will host our Summit 17 in a year. And so we're gonna use the summit as a place to gather and bring in our Southeast friends, and that'll be their first official banquet, and we're gonna fill their coffers and motivate a bunch of great sheep hunters from the Southeast U.S. that want to help wild sheep out west. So
Awesome. Super cool. So a little challenge to our listeners. If you're not a member of the Wild Sheep Foundation, get your membership. And if you're already a member there, go out and get your membership to the Southeast chapter. We just did a little call to action on the bus, and I think on our bus, so we're in Alberta. We were out looking at some bighorns in just west of Calgary. We got to see sheep. We got to see a pretty nice ram. That lead ram was a pretty decent ram. I don't know how big he was, but looked like he was certainly mature. And Glenn led a little challenge there, and I think 15 people and the 13 people signed up for Founding Life members and and then a bunch of regulars. So just go to the Wild Sheep Foundation website, click on membership, and you can sign up for Southeast chapter, and let's support this new chapter and keep looking after the things that we love. So,
amen.
gentlemen,
yep.
thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.